Hiya! Welcome to Plaid Lattes. I'm AJ, and in today's video we will be doing a breakfast inspired by the original Two Fat Ladies. If that's something you want to see, then do not adjust your screen. So while I am changing a few things up, I will link their original recipe down below.
What are we making?
Oh yes, we're making corn griddle cakes, except on a frying pan because I don't have a griddle, with leftover barbecued pulled pork and eggs for breakfast. Which is why I look like this, because it's first thing in the morning, and I was not going to get dolled up for this, because like I said, we were watching Two Fat Ladies, and they're hilarious and great, and they don't have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for?
They're not fake. They're just cooking. Yeah. They're just real.
They're just there to cook and ride on their motorcycle, so... I don't have fresh corn.
Or a motorcycle.
Yeah, or a motorcycle. I have frozen corn, but do not cook your frozen corn. Just run some water over it to take the frost off. If you try to heat it before you're using it, it will end up overcooked and taste really gross. So I have a cup of flour.
Gluten-free.
Gluten-free flour. Sorry. Which, so when you're making, that's why this is a little different. So I'll write down what I changed, but link their original recipe below. Since it is gluten-free, I have 2.5 tablespoons of butter and 5 ounces of milk. Even if you're using a 1-to-1 gluten-free flour, always add extra liquid because the flour will dry out whatever you're making. And then my frozen corn. And then I have 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt.
We have smoked paprika.
Smoked paprika.
It's got paprika.
It's got paprika. And then I'm just gonna give it a little mix. Break up my corn. But yeah, if you just run it under even just cool water, it just takes that little bit of frost off of it and helps it taste fresher when you're cooking with it. The corn, that is. 1 scrambled egg, complete with all of its egg juice. Don't be afraid to use your spatula.
Please use your spatula.
Or you can be not fancy and just crack it right from the egg. And then your milk. I use this like every morning to put my milk in my iced coffee just to make myself feel fancy. Give it a good mix. So this isn't, the batter shouldn't look like a pancake batter. It should look almost more like a waffle batter. It should be thicker, as it is a griddle cake. Not a girdle cake, but a griddle cake.
Who calls it a girdle? It's a griddle. The Two Fat Ladies said Americans, and somebody else called it a Scots call it a girdle.
Oh my God.
I've never heard it called a girdle.
Could
That's
just be
funny,
because
though.
Scottish accent has like a really hard R to it, so.
I guess.
And your 2.5 tablespoons of melted and cooled butter. Stir that up. You could add, like, if you were doing this more savory, I would say you could add some cheese to it.
Or herbs.
Yeah, or extra herbs. Because we're going to do it for kind of a sweet and savory. You just want to keep it a little more neutral.
And the pulled pork, we just use pork tenderloin, threw it in the Instant Pot, and that's how we made our pulled pork.
And then put, and that's, who did that? Was it Minimal Mom?
No.
Mindful Mom.
Mindful
Mom, sorry.
Yeah.
I will find her video and put that down below.
I think it was Mindful.
It's the best and easiest way to do pulled pork.
Yeah.
Woman is genius. And then we just put Stubbs barbecue dressing on it, which is a little peppery, but Dad's barbecue dressing is also really good.
And not as peppery.
Yeah, both are gluten-free and MSG-free.
Yes.
All right, you can.
Want to show us what that looks like?
Oh yeah. So this is what.
So it's nice and thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not pancakey.
It's not a.
It's.
You're gonna pop it on and
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So once your pot is nice and hot, you're gonna add. I'm using avocado oil. You'll hear Mom working with garlic in the background because real life. Swirl that around. And I don't know if you can see, but if you do see a tail running around, it's not a rat. It's my tiny little kitten.
Who's playing ball?
Yeah. I did end up adding about a tablespoon of water off camera, just to make sure that this has a really, just to make sure it moves a bit better and it's easier to flatten out, because you will need to actually flatten them. When you're flattening these, because you will want to flatten them after you put them in, use your spatula, don't use the back, or use your spatula, don't use the back of your flipper, because it'll just stick to that. Just a little tip that I just learned. So just giving these a flip, and you can see they're nice, like just that little bit of oil in there, more fried than just cooked. My cat's playing with a bouncy ball on the stairs. And he's trying to figure out how to bring it up and he can't.
Yeah.
And then I have my butter going for my eggs. And we're moving along here. So we have our lovely sweet corn gluten-free fritters. And spoon. And then we're going to top it with our leftover pulled pork. So when the two fat ladies did this, they just put back bacon on it. And I was like, that's really nice, but I feel like it could be more. And I was like, hey, we have pulled pork left over in the fridge. And you're gonna top it with the fried egg. There's my wood. There it is. Oop. Little sprinkle of salt. Anyway, I was like, we have pulled pork. Let's make this a full-on breakfast. Pulled pork, your egg, and a little bit of Canadian maple syrup. Oh, there we go. On top, so you have something that's sweet and savory and really a perfect way to use up leftover pulled pork.
Awesome.
All right, let's give this a taste on camera for you.
As I step over your second director, laying on the floor.
Gotta move around the cat.
It smells amazing.
Okay, I'm not gonna try and feed anybody. There's a reason I don't have real children. I have cats.
Pancake, pork,
Egg, maple syrup. Yeah.
You don't need a lot of maple syrup.
No, just a little bit, so you have just that tiny bit of sweetness, and it cuts the pepper. That's what I figured it would do, is it would cut the peppery taste of your barbecue sauce.
And if anybody thinks this is weird, it's no different than pancake, bacon, and egg.
Yeah.
It's like Stampede breakfast, but better.
And yeah, the corn's really sweet. So.
Yeah. Sweet. You don't need a lot of maple syrup because it's sweet.
Yeah.
You get the barbecue-y from the pulled pork. Awesome.
All right.
Get my approval.
There is your wonderful gluten-free, two fat lady inspired, two round lady upcycled corn fritter breakfast. Till next time, stay caffeinated, stay cozy.